All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. Here's another episode of What's Working Now. Today I have Mark Z on with us from the Z team. He is located in Detroit, Michigan. He's been in the industry since 2003. He's sold over billions of dollars in industry or sales. And we're here just to kind of pick his brain. When I think about real estate and I think about I kind of compare Mark Z to like the Google of real estate. There's nothing that he probably hasn't seen. If there's a question or there's something out there you want to know, he's like Google. You just ask him. He'll spit out the answer. And if he doesn't know it, he'll find it. You know what I mean? He's he's just that's the kind of guy he is. He's there for you. So when did you get started in the industry, Mark?
Hey, John, thanks for having me. I got started 2002, 2003. It's hard to even keep track. It feels like it was just yesterday, to be honest with you. Industry's been great to me, but I got started 17, 18 years ago. Got in the industry just like many others. I didn't know what else to do with my life, to be honest with you. I got in because I got laid off from 2 other jobs, and real estate, quite frankly, was it was the barrier, the lowest barrier of entry. All you had to do was go take your 40-hour licensing class and pay for your tests, and it was a toss-up for me. Did I want to be a realtor or a mortgage broker? And when I asked the mortgage brokers, they all said, "Oh, you don't want no part of this, go into real estate." And when I asked the realtors, they all said, "You want no part of this industry, go into the mortgage industry." So honestly, it was a toss-up. I ended up getting into real estate, and the rest is history, man. My dad owned a restaurant growing up. He worked, over 100 hours a week, believe it or not.
I believe it.
He was, it was like he was in jail, but I will say that's where I got my work ethic from. Seeing him, just grind day in and day out. And the funny part is, there was a Century 21 office right next to his restaurant. So those realtors would come into the restaurant every day, and they'd be crying the blues to him, and they'd put their check. They pay him when they get their commission check. So he'd be holding checks for these realtors. So you can imagine, when I told him I wanted to be a realtor, he was like, "Oh my gosh!" He was like crying, like, "No, son, you don't want to do that." Because in his mind, all he knows is these guys don't make any money. He's telling me, he's like, "Mark, I got so many of their bills. I'm waiting for their commission check just to cash their $5, omelet bill."
Yeah.
So I ended up getting in the industry and didn't know what I was doing. Started working the buyer side of the business. Started off with Coldwell Banker for a number of years. Working the buyer side, I was doing 4 open houses a weekend, which sounds crazy, but I was doing back-to-back on Saturday and back-to-back on Sunday. It was a way to pick up free buyers. It worked.
Right.
So, doing floor time, that's all I knew was, grinding day in and day out with buyers. I was bartending at night for a paycheck, because, when you first get in this industry, it's real inconsistent. So it was like the perfect storm. I'm grinding at night and working during the day as a realtor, trying to get things to take off. And I did this for about 3 years. And I found I was falling into the same footsteps as my dad because I was working a lot of hours. And I figured there's got to be a better way, And then one day, Coldwell Banker brought a guy named Mike Ferry into town. They paid him a lot of money to come in and speak. Mike Ferry's not cheap. He came in and he did a seminar on expired listings and how to get listings. And I honestly had no idea how to get listings, to be honest with you. The only listings I took was friends and family. And those, I pretty much did them for nothing because, your friends and family, they want you to hook them up. So I barely made any money on those. So for me, I see no value in listings. All my money is being made on the buy side. So Mike Ferry comes to town and he starts, telling me about the coaching program and how, it's guaranteed. If you don't make money, we'll give you your money back. And I get involved in coaching, and and that's where my career just took off, man. It just skyrocketed. I started calling expired listings and for sale by owners, and they were holding me accountable every day. I think it's the accountability that we all need. We're complacent, and unless someone's holding you accountable. I found my entire career I've always had a coach. If it wasn't one coach, it was another.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get bored with coaches. Sometimes and every coach kind of specializes in one aspect of the business. Some are great at team building, some are great at accountability, some are systems and tools. So my entire life I've had one coach or another, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started banging out expired listings and for sale by owners, going on more appointments than I know what to do with. And I had to get a buyer's agent eventually. So I hired a buyer's agent. In fact, she's still with me today, Sandy Radin. She's been with me, 15 years, going on now.
Jeez.
And she's still killing it. Yeah. So, back then there wasn't, teams weren't real popular. Brokerages were kind of scared of teams. Like, what is this? Are you trying to create a brokerage within our brokerage? And, they were intimidated. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that I couldn't work the buyer side because I was too busy taking listings. So I brought Sandy on and I said, hey, I just need you to take these buyer calls and work with the buyers, and I'm going to work on the listings. She came on. She had blind faith. She said, okay. And she's one of the top buyer agents in the country now. Still with me till today, and still banging out a lot of the buyer sides, and she's killing it. She just put like $3.5 million worth of pendings on the board last month. Do the math. That's $100,000 in commission. So yeah, so it works. And here we are today. We're going to close probably a little over 700 transactions this year. Close in on close to 180 to 200 million, and the team has grown. Now we have 45 people on the team. A lot of admin staff. We've got a property management company. We've got a lot going on right now.
Yeah, you do. It sounds like it. I can't believe that. That's a lot. 700 transactions. How many did you hit last year?
Last year we did 500 and maybe 525 or something. Something in the low fives.
So you're looking to grow this year.
Yeah, we're definitely growing. We've got the pedal on the metal for all of our marketing. Got a lot of marketing dollars out there, and when you're spending a lot on marketing, you got a lot coming back in.
Right. There's not a expressway you can go down. I don't think that you can't see a Mark Z. Fine, man.
Right,
I love it. My kids are like, when are we gonna get to be on a billboard, Dad, Mom? So, I talk to a lot of different agents, and one thing that's always common is they always say they had a coach at some point, whether they still have a coach now today or, they had one back in the day, and it's always, it's usually Mike Ferry. Ferry's name comes up like a lot, and you guys really crush it on making the phone calls every day and calling the expireds and the listings. If you were a new agent, would you say that's where you should start, or where should you start? What should you do?
Yeah, great question. We get that a lot because people see all the marketing that we do, and one of the common questions we get is, how do you get to a point where you can do TV and radio and billboards? And, that kind of marketing is very, very expensive. And very few realtors throughout the country can pull that off. And the reason why you can't, it's hard to pull off is because, our average commission check isn't $30,000-$40,000 like a lot of the TV commercials you see, are filled with attorneys and people who make a lot more per transaction than we do. So if you're a new realtor in the business, you've got to start off earning the business. There's two ways to get business in this industry. You either buy it or you earn it. When I first got in, I didn't have any money. There's no way I could buy the business. Especially right now, buying the business is very, very expensive, John. When I first got in the business, we didn't have to buy the business. in the respect that people do now. Like we didn't have Zillow leads. We didn't have all these third-party sites selling our leads back to us.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's hard to get a lead source that you don't have to buy unless you're paying a referral fee.
Right.
You know, like HomeLight and, you know, these other third-party sites. So you've got to make the phone calls. You know, when you get into sales, I always tell people, if you're getting into sales, you signed up to prospect. I don't care if you're an insurance agent, stockbroker, you know, car salesman, you know, whatever it is, you've got to prospect. You know, it's either that or you hold your hand out and just wait for someone to call you. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot more people that I don't know than I do know. Which means you've got to reach out to people you don't know. At the very least, you've got to reach out to your database, people you do know, because they're not reaching out to you, especially if you're new in the business. People think, you know, they know a lot of people, and then they go get their real estate license, and they're shocked that all their friends and family hasn't called them. Well, it's not going to happen. They're not going to call you. They don't trust you. More times than not, people get in an industry and out of an industry. They're not even in for more than a year or two. You know, everybody's job hopping these days. So yeah, people aren't going to trust you. You've got to bang down doors. You know, this is a contact sport.
So you definitely have to get out there and just pick up the phone or knock on doors. You just have to get out there, really.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I know when people join your team, you have a team, right? And how many people are on it? Yeah, I think you said like 40, right?
Yeah, we're somewhere around 40, 45 people, you know, give or take. Yeah, somewhere in there.
And when they join your team, you guys have a training, right? Some kind of training?
A lot of training, John. In fact, even our seasoned agents, you know, we're constantly training them in role-playing, objection handlers. You've got to constantly brush up on your skills because you forget things. You know, a lot of objection handlers, you know, that I knew, I end up forgetting over the years. So by me role-playing with my agents, it brings back, you know, it keeps the saw blade sharp, I guess you'd say.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
We're constantly training. Yeah, we're always training our agents. We have classes weekly. You know, with eXp, there's classes, 7-8 classes a day. So that's nice. My agents have access to that as well as, you know, our training that we do in the office. But yeah, always training, always learning, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one great part about eXp is how much training they actually offer, whether it's in the world or, you know, even I can go to your office, even though I'm not on your team, so to say, and I can jump in on any training that I want. So I think that's one thing I do like about our company is all the training that we get. I've been at companies before where, you know, they give you that 3-week class at the beginning and then you're done, you know, and they send you on your way. They're like, there you go. You learned everything you needed to know. Go sell now. And it's like,
right.
So
absolutely.
I do like that, you know, even though I'm not on your team, I do like that, you know, we're kind of like business partners, but not business partners at the same time, you know. You know, you like to see me grow, I like to see you grow, and that's a unique thing about eXp, you know.
Absolutely. That's one of the most under talked about things in eXp is the whole collaboration and, you know, the fact that everybody has a vested interest in each other. You know, because, you know, outside of that, it's a pretty lonely industry, right? I mean, who really cares about John's business? You know, if you're in a different brokerage, does any of your fellow realtors really care if John succeeds or not? No, right?
Right.
They have no vested interest in it. In this business, there's a lot of people that have a vested interest in your business, and a lot of people that want to see you succeed and grow. And that's how this company's grown from, you know, 4,000 agents to 30,000 agents in such a short time.
Yeah, I know. I just seen that we were at 30,000 agents. I think
30,000 agents. Yeah, isn't that exciting?
Yeah. I think when I joined, there was like 24,000 or something like that. Or we had just I don't know, something like that. But yeah, it's growing fast. That's for sure. We kind of covered what you would tell a new agent getting into the business to really grow their business, and that's just to get out there and get your name known and even knocking, calling people. What would you tell an experienced agent that's really looking to take their game to the next level, so to say? What kind of little tidbit could you give them? Would it be kind of the same thing, or, is there something different? Is it, I don't know.
Yeah. When I look back at my career and I look back at, there were some years where we didn't have as much growth as I would like.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it has to do with when you're the biggest fish in the pond, it's time you have to venture out. And what I mean by that is sometimes you outgrow your environment. Sometimes you're not around big enough thinkers and you start to get complacent, right? You start to, just sit back and chill. I'm good now. And then next thing you know, one of your competitors ends up passing you by or business starts going down. So you've got to constantly surround yourself by big thinkers, by people who are doing bigger and better things than you. So you can always make sure that you're growing, because if you're staying status quo, you're actually falling behind because the world is constantly moving, right?
Yeah.
Everything's moving. Technology, the industry's changing. So you've got to, I belong to a lot of different masterminds throughout the country with some of the brightest minds in the industry. I'm even in some masterminds with people that, isn't even real estate specific, just big thinkers, people that, just think big. Because business is what you'll find out. If you're an entrepreneur, a lot of the same business practices that we use in real estate, people also use in different industries. So I'm constantly surrounding myself by people who think bigger than me, people who do more than me. And that's what always keeps me growing.
So if you're the biggest fish in the sea, so comparing that to a veteran agent, it's time to really, watch who you surround yourself with. And I think that's another great part about being with eXp. And that's kind of why I like it so much, is I'm surrounded by people that think big and bigger than me, that, some of the things that I hear, I'm just like, wow, I didn't even think of that,
Yeah.
Right over here, I'm surrounded by the Go-Go's, the Mark Z's, Michael Reese, Jay Kinder, Daniel Beer, all these people that are just, huge.
Makes you feel small, right?
It does. It definitely does.
And same with me. I'm no different. I surround myself with guys, who always do a lot more than me, and it just makes me want to inch up my game, a little bit more and a little bit more. So,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. How many different masterminds are you a part of, and do you still have a coach, even though you're, one of the, what are you, in the top 50 in the nation? Like, do you
Absolutely.
still put money into yourself to grow, or are you like, screw it, I've done it?
No, absolutely, man. Always, like I said, I've always had a coach. I'll always have a coach, because there's always something to be learned, right? And you've always got to have someone hold you accountable. And that's why, when I really get into working out, I usually have a trainer. And it's not that I can't go to the gym. It's not, on my own. It's not that I don't know the exercises. I've been working out since, back in the day when I was going to college. I know every exercise there is, but it's accountability, right? It's someone pushing you to do just a little bit more. Someone holding you accountable, someone making sure that you're doing what you said you were going to do. And for me, it's always been priceless. That's always kept me on my toes and always had me doing more and more and more, because, just look around the world. Even the money, if you think you're making, good money, but you're making the same money every year, you're actually making less, because everything's getting more expensive, right? The dollar isn't the dollar anymore. When I was growing up, if you had $1 million, you were a millionaire. Now, for a lot of people in their lifestyle, $1 million might only last them 4 or 5 years. For some, maybe 10 years. It'd be hard pressed for someone to retire off $1 million if you're still young. So you've got to constantly be looking to do more and create residual income, because no matter how much you make, if you don't have residual income coming in, meaning what I mean by residual income is money coming in every single month, regardless of whether you work or not. Because no matter how much you make, you could spend it all. But if it comes back in again on the first of the month, you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I've always, diversified. And that's one of the things that attracted me to eXp was, the fact that it had residual income, coming in every month. It was just another income stream for me. That among many other income streams that I have, because, you never know when one income stream gets shut off and you've got to depend on the various other ones you have, whether it's real estate or maybe, different businesses. You got to diversify so your eggs aren't all in one basket. And that's allowed me to sleep at night.
Right. You mentioned the residual income from eXp, and that's one of the many reasons that attracted me there as well. Because, as you know, I own a restaurant as well as, your dad did growing up. You know the hard
Did you
work I
really?
go through. I do right now. I'm actually sitting in my restaurant right now.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Where's that?
It's in Fowlerville, Michigan.
Okay.
I own a pizza place. It's called Duke's Pizza. I took it from what it was doing in a week, and I can do it in a day now.
Wow.
And what I did is I just did, marketing. Marketing comes natural to me, and you kind of just look around at what the bigger companies are doing, and you just pick one or two things that they're doing. You do it on a little bit smaller scale, but you see your fruits of your labor. You put money out, you get money in, and you just figure
Absolutely.
out what's working, and then you just go with it. So, from a business standpoint, when I seen the business model of eXp, it was a no-brainer to me. I was like, whoa, I'm in.
Absolutely.
So sign me up. So it's like, I think one of my favorite trainings you did, though, when I was, I don't know if I was at your office for it or you were on a Zoom or something, but it was about residual income and really having multiple streams of income coming in and kind of buying a house and then taking the equity out, I think is what you said,
Oh, yeah.
and then reinvesting it in yourself. And I thought that was genius, and that's just some of the stuff you give us, and I'm grateful for, just because I aligned myself with you. And, that's stuck with me. I think about that every day, and I'm always like, well, how can I do that? How can I do that? And,
You can. It all starts with one.
uh-huh.
It all starts with the first one. So you got to pick up that first investment property, however you get that first one, because now you're building equity, and now you've got money coming in, you're paying down that house, and that starts the entire process. Within 4 or 5 years, you're going to have enough equity that you're going to be able to pull that money out and go and buy another one, assuming you don't even save any more money. But that one is going to be the piggy bank.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives you a purpose, because without a purpose, what are you making money for, right? You're going to end up spending it if you don't have some type of investment tool that you're putting the money in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So that's what I'm working on.
Good.
So where do you what would you? No, I already asked that question. What would be the one thing, like where you're taking your business that you're going to concentrate on this year? Like, what's your one goal?
Yeah. Where do I see myself, in the next, 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep growing this out. We're building a brand instead of just a business. We're building a brand. We're growing the brand. At the pace we're going, we should be selling 2,000-3,000 homes a year. And we're going to create an experience. I feel like right now the industry, it lacks service and things aren't duplicatable, meaning, your experience with this realtor is completely different than your experience with another realtor. So we're trying to create an experience where when a buyer or seller is working with our team, it's very predictable. It doesn't matter what agent they're working with, they're going to have the same exact experience. So that's what we're working on, is putting systems and tools in place so people have a Disney experience with us. It's the same process every single time, kind of like a franchise, right? You go to, when you go to McDonald's, whether you love that hamburger or hate it, what that burger is going to taste like.
Yep.
It's very predictable, right?
Yep.
And that's why franchises are so successful, is because it's duplicatable.
Exactly.
And so that's what we're working on, is trying to make the experience so it's duplicatable. And, whether you're buying or selling, every time you do a transaction with us, if you were talking to one of your friends, you guys would have the same story. You'd have the same experience dealing with us. And so that's what we're working on. I don't think it's ever been done. Every realtor just, is flies by the seat of the pants, and every experience is different, and we're trying to change that. We base our entire model on customer service, and that's what we're always working on right now.
I love it. I've never heard any realtor say that before.
Yeah.
You're right on though. You're right on. That's the one thing that franchises have over mom and pop shops like me is they have systems and things like that in place where it's just like you said, you can go to anywhere in the world, you can get a McDonald's sandwich and you know exactly what it's going to be like. You can go to any Mark Z agent and you're going to get the same experience. It's going to be magical. And I love that. That's a great
Absolutely.
idea.
And
awesome.
even in your business, the more you can make it predictable, the more consistent it's going to be. It's nothing worse than when you go to a restaurant and you had the best meal, and then you go back and it's not the same.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's why, like pizza franchise, a lot of them, they don't have the guys making the dough every single day. They ship them the dough.
Right.
So they don't screw that up. They make them buy the ingredients all from the same place. Because if you buy pepperoni from place A, and then next week you buy it from place B, every place makes the pepperoni a different thickness, a different quality, right?
Yep.
So the more consistent you can make any business, the more predictable it's going to be for the customer. And the more likely that they're going to come back, knowing that they're going to get exactly what's in their head. Yep.
I love it. That's awesome. One more question, and then I'm going to let you go. I know you're a busy guy, but we're going to end it with a little eXp question. What's been your experience with eXp versus other brokerages? I know that you've been with other brokerages, like you said. What led you to eXp, and what do you like it? I mean, has it been everything you thought it was going to be?
I didn't tell you. I left eXp.
Right.
No. I'm never leaving eXp. I'm here for life. It hasn't been everything expected. So, I'd be lying if I said, there wasn't bumps and bruises, along the way. Keep in mind, when I got in eXp, there was only about 6,000 agents. So, it was a much smaller company than it is now. But it's grown, and they fixed so many things along the way. For the first time, or actually now it's the second quarter in a row we've showed a profit. So the biggest thing that the haters and the naysayers were saying is that you're never going to the company's never going to be able to make money. There's no way this model can sustain. Well, here we are. I've been in 2 years now, and they just showed for 2 quarters in a row a profit. So now they're profitable. So obviously the model is sustainable and the model works, because now they're making money on paper. Even though they're actually making money even before that, but just not on paper. Now they're making money. They fixed so many things that early on, were just growing pains of a small company. And so it just keeps getting better. It keeps evolving. The founder, Glenn Stafford's a genius. He's focused on the right things to make it very agent eccentric. So the agents have a great experience while they're here. I'm having a great time. Real estate was getting boring for me. And it's brought fun back to the industry. I'm having a great time, making a lot of money. Of course, that's always a lot of fun. My fellow agents that are surrounded by me are loving it. It's been a great experience. I look back and just think, out of all the chances that I've taken in my life, that was one of the best ones that I've done.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, man. It's been a great time since I've joined, and I look forward to what's ahead, really.
Absolutely.
So, For newer agents, sometimes I suggest joining a team. So if you're in the, getting into real estate, or if you're struggling in real estate and you need some help, I would definitely, reach out to either me or Mark Z, and I can get you in contact with him. I have his phone number that I like to bug him on sometimes.
Absolutely.
So,
Reach out to John if anyone's looking to get in
yeah,
the industry. Reach out to John. He'll get you set up. If you're on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. I'm at
yeah.
Sold by Mark Z. Sold by Mark Z. Follow me on Instagram. I got a lot of great training videos, a lot of good stuff on there. And I appreciate you having me, John. Thank you so
No
much.
problem, man. Thank you for being on. I'll talk to you
You got
later.
it. All right.